Well, cinema is extremely old in India. Within 6 months of the first film shows in Paris by the Lumiere brothers, their representatives had come to Bombay and held screenings there. And I think cinema caught the imagination of the Indians very fast. And people started making films in India almost immediately, actuality footage. Later on, there were attempts to film plays. And the first recognized feature film was made in India in 1913 by a person known as Dada Saheb Phalke, who is considered to be the father of Indian cinema. This was a film on a mythological subject, Raja Harishchandra, taken from the old scriptures, and it was extremely popular. It led to a spate of films on mythological subjects, although very soon we were also making films on contemporary modern subjects. And we've never really looked back ever since. Cinema has been popular right from the beginning, and it continues to be popular in India. It is perhaps the only form of mass entertainment which is available to large sections of the population. It is also a form which has over time evolved a peculiarly Indian character in the form of a lot of music, a lot of dance, there's humor, there's tragedy, there's comedy. Everything goes into an Indian film, and it's also one of the cinemas which is very strong in its own country. We are perhaps now, at the end of the 20th century, the only cinema, apart from Hollywood, which has a tremendous market within its own country as well as abroad. Indian cinema is extremely popular in the Middle East, in North Africa, in Southeast Asia, in Central Asia, republics of the former Soviet Union. And it is perhaps the second most exported cinema after Hollywood. It is a very strong cinema which produces the largest number of films anywhere in the world. We produce more films than Hollywood annually in India, roughly about 800 films a year. This is only the feature films, not counting the documentaries and so on and so forth. And so it's a form of expression which is extremely important to Indians. It plays a very important role in the lives of Indians. Film music is an extremely important expression of popular culture in India, which is prevalent all over. It is recognized all over. People know film songs. There are entire programs on television based only on film songs. Also, films have played a very important part in raising consciousness in India about India as a country. Not directly, not through propaganda, but just by being a common form of expression for Indians who otherwise have so many differences, because we have so many languages. We have more than 18 recognized official languages with different scripts. We have people with different traditions, and yet many things unite us. Amongst them is Indian cinema, because it is seen all over the country, and it has certain common forms which are appreciated by Indians everywhere. Also, Indian cinema is a factor which has been very important. It has played an important role in our freedom struggle, in raising consciousness about Indians as being Indians. And many patriotic filmmakers made films which were indirectly critical, or even sometimes directly critical, of the colonial rulers, and which got past censorship and which helped create this consciousness all over the country, which led to our independence. And they continue to forge consciousness in India, including in helping to spread perhaps the language which is spoken by most people, but not by all people in India, that is Hindi, because cinema in Hindi is very popular all over the country, and therefore people all over the country become familiar with the language, even if they don't speak it all the time or understand it very well, but they do become familiar with it by watching Hindi cinema all over the country. These are some of the ways in which cinema continues to be an extremely important part of any Indian's life. I think no Indian feels complete without visits to the cinema, either in the hall or even on video, or nowadays watching it on television or cable. Cinema forms the backbone of even our television industry.
Could you please tell us who are the main characters, the main movie stars of the Indian cinema?
We have very many movie stars in Indian cinema. It's very difficult to give you an idea of who are the main ones, but at the moment, if you go by the stars of the Hindi cinema, who are the most popular, they would probably be Amitabh Bachchan, who, although he has not been acting in films for some time, continues to be perhaps the biggest Indian film star, who is recognized not only in India, but also, as I said, in the Middle East, in countries of the former Soviet Union. Everywhere he's recognized as a very big star, and wherever he goes, there's almost a hysterical reaction to his presence. There are several other stars also. There are stars of the legendary era, the older stars like Devanand and Dilip Kumar. There are stars of the younger generation who are extremely popular, like Amir Khan, Salman Khan, Shah Rukh Khan, and many, many, many others. Amongst the heroines, we have these days, probably the most popular is a lady called Madhuri Dixit, who is the #1 heroine perhaps, although now there are some younger heroines also coming to take her place. These include people like Kajol and another girl whose name at the moment I am forgetting, and therefore we shall break. Yes. Amongst the heroines, the younger ones, there's Kajol and there's Manisha Koirala and many others. There is a high turnover of film stars in India, considering the fact that we produce about 800 films in a year. So many, many stars are required, and many, many stars keep coming and going, but there are some who endure. There are other stars in cinemas of other languages, in Tamil, in Malayalam, in Telugu, in Bengali, so many other languages, and each has its own set of stars. The ones that I have named are mostly the stars who are in Hindi cinema, which is the most popular and the most pervasive, but the other stars are also stars in their own right, and some of them in fact earn much more than these stars in Hindi cinema.
Where are the main studios are located all over India?
That's a very interesting question, because our film industry is actually spread over different cities. Now, the Hindi industry, which is one of the most important industries, but not the only important industry, is based in the western city of Bombay on the coast. This industry produces something like 300 films a year, perhaps 200, 300 films. Then, equally important is the industry based in Madras, which is now known as Chennai. This is an industry which produces films in Tamil and in Telugu, two of the South Indian languages primarily, and they produce about 300 films a year, roughly. Then there is an important center in Hyderabad, which is also in the south, but in the center, not on the coast, and they produce several films, mostly in Telugu there. There is an important center in Trivandrum, which produces over 100 films a year in the South Indian language of Malayalam. And there is an important center in Bangalore, producing films in Kannada, about 25, 30 or more films. And similarly in Calcutta, which is a very old center of films also, but has seen a bit of a decline in recent times, but still produces a significant number of films in Bengali and in other languages. Then there are very small centers, perhaps, in Bhubaneswar, producing films in Oriya, in Guwahati, producing films in Assamese, and several other places, even down to perhaps Imphal in Manipur in the northeast, which produces 3 or 4 or 5 films a year in that language. So we have very many film centers producing very many different numbers of films. Overall, as I said, roughly about 800 films in a year.
What are the main film events all over the year here in India?
I think the main film event held every year is the International Film Festival of India. Now, this is a festival which is organized by the Government of India in the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting by an office called the Directorate of Film Festivals. And this festival takes place every year between the 10th and the 20th of January. It's called, interestingly enough, the International Film Festival of India, because it is not held in any one city every year, as is the case with other film festivals all over the world. Because ours is a very large country, it is held in a different city every year. Alternate years, usually it is held in Delhi, but in other years it goes outside. The edition in 1997 was held in Trivandrum. Before that it has been held in Bombay. Before that it was held in Calcutta, Madras, in Hyderabad, and many other cities. This festival brings together about 200 films, and about 35 to 40 countries participate in it every year. People come from all over the world and also from all over India, and it's a very important meeting point for people who are interested in cinema seriously, to meet and to view the best films from all over the world as well as the best films from India. Then, once every year, we also have another very important event, which is the National Awards for Films, which are again given by the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting of the Government of India. Every year, the President of India himself comes to give these awards. These awards are held usually in May or June, and awards are given to all kinds of Indian films under all categories, features, non-features. There are separate awards for films in each of the languages, and there are separate awards for individual disciplines like acting, direction, screenplay, music, and so on and so forth. There is also an award for writing on cinema and criticism on cinema included in these national awards, so they are very comprehensive, and it's a major event which is looked forward to every year. Apart from this, we have two other significant events which take place. One is the International Short and Documentary Film Festival, which is organized every 2 years in Bombay by the Films Division, which is again part of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting, Government of India. And the second is an International Festival of Films for Children and Young People, which is organized by the National Center of Films for Children and Young People, based in Bombay. The festival is held in different cities of the country every 2 years.